This community is not just corporate.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the PerformHappy Podcast. I am so excited to have my guests here today. It's been a little while since I've chatted with both of you, so I'm really excited to get updates. But this is a family who really values putting humans first. And that shows in a lot of ways. And this episode is really going to be for any athletes out there who are hitting setback after setback after setback, but not giving up on their dream. And there are so many athletes out there in this boat, which is why I wanted to have these two on as a little bit of a beacon of hope and inspiration. So we have Arya and Sara Rose Page, who are here to give their story of how Arya was able to overcome a lot of things and where they are today. So welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Yeah, so I love always starting with moms because they're so great at painting the picture. Sara, what was going on for Arya emotionally, mentally, and in the gym before you sought out mental coaching for her?
Oh my gosh. So I found you listening to a podcast, and I think I signed up for your mental performance coaching, the platform, because she was having a hard time on so many levels. And I had to ask her today because so much time has passed and things have gotten better, but what was happening? Were you having mental blocks? And she said, yes, having mental blocks on everything. So there were both obstacles that came from injuries that it seemed to be like a repeating pattern. And then there was some really hard stuff going on in the gym that was affecting her emotionally. So that's like the brief version.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, people don't always find us on a winning streak.
Yeah.
When there's like, oh gosh, things are not feeling good. So, Arya, what was it like for you as a gymnast at that time, kind of like pre-solution when you're just trying to get through it in the gym?
It was kind of awful. I would walk into the gym and start crying before anything even happened. And I hated going there, and I had so many skills I needed to get, and I felt all this time pressure about recruiting, and I'd had so many injuries, so I was really scared of getting hurt again. And so I was terrified and frustrated and angry and mad at myself all the time during practice.
Yeah, living the dream of the high school gymnast. I mean, and I know a lot of people out there can relate to that because injury is unfortunately a pretty common thing in high-level gymnastics. And also the dream of college is a pretty common dream for girls who have been in the sport forever and put their heart and soul into it. So, Sara, what was it like watching Arya during that phase of her gymnastics?
That was a long phase, and it was really, really painful. So the pandemic really started this slide into so much difficulty because their gym closed. So Arya's younger sister is also a gymnast, and their gym that they loved closed. We had to find a new gym. That wasn't a great fit. And then we found another gym that initially, for my younger daughter, was super happy. But by the time we got there, and we didn't know because Arya wasn't telling anybody, I think because of the environment she'd been in, that her elbows were in pain. So she's in ninth grade. She had 2 elbow surgeries. So that was the summer before ninth grade. And about the college gymnastics, just to also clarify, everything started a little late for Arya in terms of when she started gymnastics. And including what are your goals and dreams? Nobody ever asked her until we actually got to the gym that there was a lot of difficulty. There was some really good stuff. And one coach asked her what her dreams were and what her goals were. And she said, that's the first time anyone's asked me. I happened to be in a meet where I overheard somebody from another team. They were talking about college gymnastics. And I thought, shoot, are we supposed to be thinking about college gymnastics? That's really late, as you know, for most people who are focused on that goal. A lot of parents get their kids into gymnastics when they're 3 or 4. Arya was 8. And so just to frame the timing, because I asked her, I'm like, oh, would you want to do college gymnastics? And she said, oh yeah, I would love that. But we'd never even talked about it. Meanwhile, she didn't know if she'd ever be able to use her arms again for gymnastics. I mean, it was scary. We really didn't know what the outcome would be. But on top of that, she got a back injury. She just was about to come back to her first competition in 10th grade. I mean, after just being so dedicated, coming to the gym, doing 2 hours of conditioning. And then I would take her home, and then her dad would go and pick her sister up. It was crazy. But she was so dedicated all year, and she's like ready to compete, but she's like, my back's hurting. We got an MRI, and she had a spondy. And basically it just continued on. 4 ankle sprains in 11th grade, broken toes at the end of that summer. So on top of all of that, what had felt like a positive gym environment initially became clear that there was a lot of really painful stuff going on for Arya. Yeah, so it was really painful and really hard to figure out what to do.
Yeah. And so what was it that made you decide to pursue mental coaching as a potential solution for all of the kind of emotional pain that she was in?
Yeah. I will say, the silver lining and hardship, right, is like you open to things that you might not have known about before. So I did a nutrition course. It was like, is that why you keep getting injured? I don't think so, but nutrition got way better for her and her sister anyway. And so I think that I started listening to your podcast, and I was like, oh, she sounds amazing. I think honestly, a combination of your wisdom and how you knew how to coach girls through mental blocks, like that you had a system or a practice for them, but also you were so loving. I just felt so much love and care, and that felt largely absent in this world. Arya brought so much love to the sport, and there were some great kids there, but there was just a lot of need for support. So I think that hearing that you existed and what kind of work you did made me feel a little spark of hope, like, oh my gosh, this is what Arya needs.
And Arya, what made you open to it? Were you open to it at the beginning? Was there any hesitation on your part?
Yeah, I mean, I'd done it a couple times before, but not nearly as much as I worked with you, just in kind of small chunks, and it never really made much of a difference before. But I remember my mom telling me about you and that you were doing this special thing with just a few gymnasts. And I remember her saying, like, I think this is the missing piece. We've done everything else. And I was like, okay, I'll do anything. And nothing else is working. So
Yeah, there is a gift in that, like, desperate willingness to just be open-minded. I know in my personal life, like, so many turning points have come from okay, I give up moment of like, find somebody, just tell me what to do. I quit. I'm not running this show anymore. Yeah. So when did you notice things starting to change from the I'm always injured and crying? What was kind of the first shift that you noticed?
when I was still at my old gym, there were little shifts. I remember I would do your hair tie trick. My sister and I would do it together. We'd put a hair tie on one of our wrists, and every time we noticed we had a negative thought, we'd switch it to the other one and try to replace it with a positive thought. And that, I wouldn't say it made me happier during practice, but it definitely made me notice how many negative thoughts I was having, because it was like all the time during practice I was switching wrists, and it made me a lot more aware. So going on from there, I started catching myself a lot more often and being like, why am I thinking this? Is this actually helping me? And most of the time it wasn't. So I would change it. But even when I was there and I was doing that, I feel like it only helped so much, because there was only like so much energy I could put into the mental training, because there were so many horrible things going on in the gym. So I had no energy or mind space. So it was really, I think, once I switched very quickly after that, I started noticing. And I'd also been working with you for a couple of months then. And I started noticing that as soon as I switched, all the training that I'd been doing was suddenly working so much better. And I felt like I had so much more room for it, and I wanted it to work more. And I believed that it would work more.
Yeah, I've seen that incredible shift in many athletes were, and I think we had talked about, this environment doesn't feel like it's the breeding ground for confidence necessarily. And there are many, many gyms out there that are just doing business as usual, and it works for some athletes and it doesn't work for everybody. I know I'm a little bit like mama bear about kids and how grown-ups should treat them and, all of that. Yeah, I mean, I think all moms are like, yeah, my kids should be respected and treated well and listened to and folded in, and that's what you would hope for. But it is incredible to see how there's no amount of mental training that you can do that will make the wrong progression work in a skill. You can't like positive self-talk your way into doing a skill your brain's just not ready for. And it goes the same way with mental training. There's no amount of mental training you can do that's going to truly counteract an environment that's tearing you down. So it was really cool to watch you start to thrive in that way. And Sara, I'm curious your perspective on when you started to notice changes in her.
I agree that it was amazing to see the difference. She definitely felt supported by you, and I could see her practicing the skills she was learning from you. But again, like you said, when the environment is not supportive for her. So as soon as the two of them switched gyms, which is a big, stressful, challenging thing to do, it was like, even though it was a process to gain all of your skills back, I mean, she was like getting her skills back yet again. Well, she also had broken her toes. So she had taken all this time off, once again, and was only conditioning. And I was thinking, as we were getting ready for this interview, I was remembering back whenever your first meet was, you were too scared still to do your beam series. And then, as you know, maybe we'll get there in the story, she ended up at Eastern Nationals having one of the top beam routines. And that's like phenomenal. And it's because she had great beam coaches, but it's also because really the work she did with you was pivotal in being able to access that confidence, because confidence isn't just doing the skill and knowing you can do it. It's the environment, and it's feeling supported, and it's, feeling safe, feeling emotionally safe enough. So that was pretty amazing. I definitely saw, and I think I wrote to you and I was like, oh my gosh, you just like the gym change and you combined changed her life, really changed her life.
Tears.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so grateful to even be a little bit of that. So I would, for anyone who's listening, who's like, oh, is the gym that I'm in causing my kid to stay stuck on a confidence basis? Like, what are some tips that you would give, from each of your perspectives on like things to look out for, things that maybe you shouldn't accept as normal, that you took a little long to figure out? What should those athletes look for, and what are they entitled to as humans in a gym?
I think definitely making sure that the girls that you're surrounded with share your goals. And everybody on a team is going to have slightly different goals. But when I switched to my new gym, suddenly everybody was training 9 and 10. They all wanted to do college gymnastics and they all wanted to be there. And they valued their time there. And it was very much not like that at my old gym. So making sure that you're surrounded by people who will help you and push you to be better and not hold you back. And also that you have coaches that will listen to you. One of the things that I really learned from you is that communication with your coaches is super important. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to your coaches, you're never going to get anywhere, even if you're working with someone like you and doing mental training, because if they're not being part of your support team and they're not going to listen to you and help you take steps back and do what you need to do to get confident again, it's never going to happen. Because as a gymnast, you're always being told what to do, which can be frustrating sometimes. And if it's not working for you and you're not being listened to, there's stuck and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. It's like it's not that hard. That's the thing that always drives me crazy. It's like, it's really not that hard. If you're scared on a high beam, you just need a progression where you're going to feel confident. You build your technique up and then you can go to the high beam. It's like, but why do we have to stand there and cry and argue? It's not efficient, people.
I can't agree more. I also don't understand. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't have to be this hard. And in fact, even if we let go of like what, for me as a parent, why can't you be more kind or loving? It's also, well, is that your goal? Then give her the thing that she needs to be able to accomplish her goal. Let her go back a few steps. I mean, so far, there's been a little bit of this in every single gym. And then there have been coaches that don't, coach that way. But in addition to, girls sharing goals, I mean, inclusivity, I just want to put in a plug for looking for what the culture is like. And there are subcultures in gyms. But what I think is true is that if there's a subculture that is allowed to persist, that is socially exclusive, which is what Arya experienced in her gym and was brought to the attention of people in charge and nothing was done about it. My husband and I are the ones that brought it up. Arya's like, don't say anything. Please don't say anything. It'll get worse. And she was right. But we were like, that's not right. There should be grown-ups who go, oh, let's help. How can we help? How can we help connect everybody? Like, it's not to make any kids wrong. It's to give everybody an opportunity to grow and to recognize, like, how can we all be in this together? How can we support each other? So Arya was so excited when she switched gyms and the girls cheered for her because she like wanted to cheer for everybody on her team, but she did not get cheered for. I mean, it was really sad. So part of why we got stuck is like her sister was appearing to have a different experience, but in the end that we understand how profoundly she was affected, and then there's usually something positive. It also took a while to figure out where to go.
Yeah. And it is a hard decision because you never know, is it going to be just the same or is it going to be worse? Or so
it's a risk.
It
It's
is.
definitely a risk.
And how did you know it was time to take the leap to the new gym?
I mean, you and I had talked about it a little bit, but I know you were never going to actually tell me what to do, even though I think you knew I should switch. I was working a little bit with a recruiting agent, and she kind of told me, she was like, look, are you going to get where you need to be at this gym or not? You have to put the emotions aside. And if you want to do college gymnastics, you have to switch. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. And you just have to know that going into this year. And I was like, wow, she's right. And I hadn't wanted to switch because it was horrible and I was miserable, but I knew what to expect and I knew what kind of awful it was going to be. And I was so used to it that I figured every gym I went to would probably be the same. And I was like, I don't have that much time left. I don't know if I'll make friends and get to know my coaches well. And I know how everything works here, but I was like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't working. It's not going to work. It's horrible. And I just can't be here anymore. It was very clearly time. As your coaches and your teammates should be your biggest cheerleaders. And they weren't. And that's not okay for anyone, any gymnast. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people can hear that and go, ooh, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. So now let's fast forward. So you found a new place to train where you were valued. You found you had teammates that are cheering you on. Your body's healing. Hallelujah. Staying healthy. What were some of the important moments, between then and now that are worth sharing?
I mean, at the beginning of the year, when I joined in late September, I started getting skills back kind of quickly, but I was also still really stuck on some things. Like I had literally no skills on bars. I could probably do like a kip cast handstand and that was it. I was scared of everything else. Even like a tap swing flyaway. And I remember like going into the first meet, I had a session with you, I think really soon before it, and you were talking to me, and this is the first time I think the time thing, like you were always telling me there is enough time. And I was like, no, Rebecca, there's not enough time. What are you saying? But you said, you were like, you are where you are right now and you can't do anything to change it. And you might wish you were somewhere else, but that wishing isn't going to get you there. So you might as well accept where you are and do everything you can at where you are right now so that you can get to where you want to be. Yeah, I don't know. I went to practice that day and I was like, I'm not competing bars. I was trying to force it and I felt so much lighter. I started working on my overshoot again, my flyaway, like that day. I was like, oh my God, I'm okay. I'm here and I'm going to make progress at where I am. And maybe it's not like great compared to my teammates who are like sticking all their double backs off bars and I can't even do a cat's flyaway, but it's still moving forward. So I feel like that's when it kind of clicked. And then after that, I just started getting my skills so much quicker and my body was feeling the best that it has in years. And I started getting like progressively better at every meet. I remember the first time I made my beam routine at Mardi Gras. It's the first time I made a beam routine in all of level 9. And then it was the first time I'd ever competed a series in like 3 years, something like that, which was crazy. And I was like, got off and I got like a 9.2 or something. And I couldn't believe it. I made it to regionals. And I had a really scary fall in bars. And I got so frustrated because I had just learned a toe front dismount and I'd been like training it so consistently, sticking all of them. And I like did this weird thing where my like foot pushed my hand off the bar and I like flipped sideways and like I saw the ground. So I landed on my back, but I could have gotten really hurt. And I was like so shaken. And I was like, that's it. I'm not going to Easterns. It's over. And my coach was like, no, it's not. She was like, take a minute and go. We're doing beam. And I was like, okay, I can give up and not do the rest of the meet, or I can just try. And then I did end up making it to Easterns, and I got 7th all around and 5th on beam, which I had literally no skills on beam when I joined the gym like 6 months before. So that was really crazy. And my team got 1st, and it had been my dream for so long to make it to Easterns. I'd wished on like every eyelash and every birthday cake. And I like would write it on the tumble track to help me spot when I was twisting. I'd be like, spot Easterns. And it just never happened. And my coach at my old gym, he had this thing where we had stars on some of the parking spots. And he was like, I'm not parking on the stars until you go to Easterns.
In a positive.
Yeah. And I never did. And I was like, the first thing I thought when I got called up to the podium was, oh my gosh, I have to text him. He can park on the stars now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that like something that's really clear with you is that you are very goal oriented. And when you get something in your sights, when you're determined, you don't give up, even though you're walking through fire and flames and falling off cliffs. And, you know, it's like, you're just like, you can keep hiking. You're like, let's keep after it. And our roads are never straight toward what we want in life. I mean, never in a million years would I've mapped out my life in the way that it has landed, but to be so clear on your intention and be so willing to continue getting back up and continue improving and growing as a human, it really makes things just inevitable from my perspective, you know, that you were going to get to Easterns. You knew it. You knew it all along. And so now the college intention is still going strong. Will you tell us kind of where you're at now in the pursuit of that?
Yeah. I decided to take a gap year this year because I graduated high school a couple of months ago, which was initially something that I really didn't want to do. I felt like it was either get recruited in the spring or go to college without gymnastics, and it would just be done. And I didn't get recruited, and I remember kind of getting the email from my last college that I really wanted to go to, like 10 days or something like that before I had to commit, saying that I wasn't on the team, and I felt like my entire world shattered. I was like, this is it. I'm done. And I was in school, and nobody else was really an athlete at my school. It was tiny. And they're like, oh, it's fine. They just didn't get it. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I worked for so many years, and I went to the gym when I was hurt. But then I went to the gym, and I talked to one of my coach, and I was like crying to her, and she was like, this sucks, and we don't really have time to be sad about it right now because you have to decide. But if you want to do this, we're going to make it happen. And I was like, yeah, we are. I decided to take a gap year to focus on gymnastics. I actually feel really relieved about it now. I don't have to leave home yet. I get to stay at my gym with all of my new friends and my coaches that I love, because I was really sad to only have a year there. And I'm going to try again this year to get recruited. And I think it's a lot more likely because I'm the healthiest that I've ever been. I'm the most confident I've ever been. And now when I start to get stuck, I'm able to stop, go back, and fix it before I get to the point where I have to like go crying to you because I can't do literally anything anymore. Yeah. And I'm training 10 now, which also is great and will be very helpful for college. It's very different than where I was a year ago.
Oh my gosh. It's not even a year. It's not. So I keep trying to like look back and go, it's not even a year since you switched gyms.
Yeah.
And since you've been healthy was like mid-September. So yeah. So like 6, 7 months, all this transformation happened. And the work with you alongside with the gym change and, environment that she just drank up that was so much more supportive for her was kind of crazy how much happened that was positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an incredible story, and it's not done yet, but that,
No.
that laser focus that you have is just really unstoppable from my perspective. Now, Sarah, I'd love to just wrap with like your perspective on Arya and what you're most proud of in watching her go through all this.
Okay. Hopefully I told myself, okay, I would try not to cry during the podcast, but Arya be like, whatever, you always cry. I really admire Arya so much for the very thing that you're talking about, that just, it's this inner fortitude that is so powerful, despite it seemed unending. Really, for 3 years, it was like everyone at the gym, old gym, used to be like, oh, she never gets a break, does she? People said that all the time. And she got like, oh, the broken girl, you know what I mean? It's just like, then it gets piled on and it becomes part of your identity. And for a parent, for me, it was just heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. Like, just want my kid to feel good, and enjoy her sport again. And it's totally fine if someone decides they've been through too much and they're done and ready to move on. That would have been absolutely fine, but that's not what she ever wanted. So I am so proud of you for just never giving up on yourself, even when other people gave up on you. She did have one coach that certainly really believed in her in the last gym, but
all the other ones said that I would never make it to level 10. I would never make it to Easterns. I would never make it to college. I just wasn't good enough, and I would always be hurt and it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. But I'm proud that there's more than that, because it's the strength, it's the commitment, it's the dedication. But also, I'm really proud that Arya, it remained like a kind, loving person. And I recognize for all of us in life, but especially for kids and teens, basically, if there are hurtful patterns happening, and if there's a leader and people following, and then there's the one being, targeted, you either join the hurting side or you're becoming the target. And she never did switch sides in that sense or become that person. And, there was untangling to do for sure, and there was healing to do. But I'm really proud of her for being true to herself. I guess that's the thing all along. No matter how diminished she felt, she didn't become a different person. She stayed true to herself. And a shout out to you, because at Easterns, what I loved the most, I think I loved every minute. The whole experience was so amazing. But what I loved is seeing Arya have so much fun. She wasn't worrying about how she did. At the end, I'm like, how are you feeling? Oh, I don't think I'm going to make it on the podium, but I had such a great time. And like that's really, you helped her prioritize her experience over the results. And I saw that in the beginning of the season when she had like the worst bar competition that she ever had. And she laughed about it. I mean, and if you knew her just a few years or a few months before that, she would not have been laughing, and she would have been so hard on herself, but she was like, oh, well, and moved on. And like that ability to just be in it because you love it, and you just like put your heart out on the floor and then you move on to the next thing, is what did allow her to be so successful at the end of the year,
Well, I always say that it's not the kid who just gets out and wins everything that I'm the most proud of. It's the kid who had 3 years of mental blocks and 7 injuries and didn't quit and kept going. Like, that's the person I'm proud of. That's the person who's my hero. It's easy to just be talented and win medals. That's easy, fun for everybody. And the person who keeps getting back up, that is ultimately the champion, not just in gymnastics, because that's such a blip on the radar of life, but the human that you are going out into adulthood. I think if I was your mother, I would be pretty pleased that I know that you're going to be okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's like I would never have wished all this on her, but I do see that watching her go through this at a young age, I'm like, oh, you're good, honey. You're good. I have just complete faith in her ability to handle challenge and setbacks and heartbreaks and be able to heal and actually get more expansive and bigger and stronger in the end, even though it didn't seem that way for a while.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like there was a light at the end of the tunnel. I believed in her, but I didn't know she'd make it to Eastern just because I was like, is she going to make it through all these injuries?
Wow, you are such an inspiration. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have had my little impact on your journey, and I am going to be cheering for you so loud this season.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for being here and sharing your story, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. You're a huge part of her journey.
Yeah. Right.
Not little at all.
Thank
So
you.
significant. Yeah, we're so grateful for you.
And I'd say actually, I was just thinking about you'd say what to tell other gymnasts. And I think actually the biggest thing that I learned from you, other than being in the moment and being okay with where you are, is that you have to have smaller goals and you have to be happy during practice. Like when I wasn't happy, I wasn't doing well. And I would push myself harder and I just wouldn't get anywhere. I'd get more stuck and I'd push harder and I just was trying to force things and I wasn't patient and I didn't trust myself and it wasn't working. But I started changing my wishes, the little wishes I would make on eyelashes and everything, because I really do that a lot. To instead of, oh, I want to get recruited for college gymnastics or I want to make it to Easterns, every time I would wish that I would love gymnastics again. And I do now. And as soon as I started loving it and having fun, I started loving myself a lot more and giving myself a lot more grace for all the little mistakes I would make. And it got so much easier. And every bad thing that happened felt a lot less impactful. And I was able to learn from everything that happened, even things like splitting the beam on my series and getting scared. And also that like you can deal with bad coaches and bad gymnasts and bad environments if you're okay with yourself. My coaches can still try to force me to do something I don't feel comfortable with. And I'm like, okay, they can tell me to do whatever they want. I know they want what's best for me, but I know where I am. And I'm not going to feel bad about myself if I can't do what they want right now. So I'm going to do what's best for me.
Oof, that voice that you get to have as a result of that self-love, of like, I value myself and my voice and I respect others too. But that's so important to be able to know that inevitably you're the only person inside your mind and body. So you're the person who really has to have a say in this whole thing. Yes. Well, I'm just so proud and so happy for you and so excited to watch you this season. So
yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys. And we'll see you soon.